listening to the First City Lax podcast, brought to you every week from the Florida Panhandle. Coach John and Coach JP explore the best and worst of lacrosse on the Gulf Coast. So strap your helmets on and let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Coach John. I'm your host, and this is the First City Lacrosse podcast, the second best lacrosse podcast on the planet. We're glad you're here, and it is a privilege to have Coach Casey Mcdonald here from Southside High School in Louisiana. Casey, welcome. Welcome to the pod.
Coach, thank you so much. The pleasure's all on this side of the table, man.
I appreciate that. And I got to tell you, when I first decided that we were going to do this podcast, I knew that you were going to have to be one of the first people on the podcast, specifically because I think you and I, the way we coach lacrosse, the way we believe it should be played, and just sort of our ideas align. I mean, they are in lockstep from start to finish. And so it's good having someone with your experience come on and talk about it and the things that you've done. And hopefully everyone gets a little piece of the action in terms of like what you're doing to grow lacrosse in your area. So with that being said, tell the folks a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your history and things just like how long have you played? What do you do now? What's your background like? Go.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Coach Casey Mcdonald. I am the current head coach of the brand new Southside High School lacrosse program in Youngsville, Louisiana. Currently, we are a co-ed team playing in the Louisiana High School Lacrosse League, which is the official high school lacrosse league for all the teams here in the state of Louisiana. We've got a couple of girls playing with us because they wanted to help grow the game and they want to help grow into a girls team as well. We've already got our head coach for the girls team, and she's actually acting as an assistant with us. So as that grows and as we get more interest on the girls' side, Coach Ruth Marangelo, she'll pop over and be the head coach, but for now she's definitely helping us out as the assistant. Her and her brother played all their life all the way up. They came from Muhlenberg, so they've got a wealth of lacrosse experience to help. She does, and her brother is actually now the assistant coach with the UL Ragin' Cajuns under Coach Keith Schneider. For me, I've been back here in Louisiana a few years. I have coached all three levels of NCAA. I started coaching back in 2004, 2005 as a student assistant with LSU, which is where I went and where I played after my baseball career ended. Turned around and played lacrosse for the Tigers and had a great time in the early years of the MCLA. You know, it used to be a little unorganized and unorthodox on the sideline. As you've probably seen stories of kegs and bottles of Jim Beam on the sideline, and that was not far from the truth. And that was happening well into the early 2000s. And then the MCLA kind of came in and formalized things and really helped cultivate a growing love and really a calling for me for the sport of lacrosse and for coaching. From there, you know, I got through Hurricanes Katrina and Rita my senior year of college, ended up moving to Texas, and got an opportunity with the Plano West high school program up out of Plano, Texas. Coach Dave Flick and Mark Purcell. Coach Mark Purcell gave me my first real coaching opportunity out of college with, you know, next to no experience, but they knew I had a passion for the game and a love, and those guys align a lot with what we do. Coach Dave Flick is a fantastic human being, coached all those years at Plano West, North Texas lacrosse. Now he's an official. He's been officiating games the last few years, giving back to the sport to keep things rolling. Coach Mark Purcell has coached throughout Plano West and then coached the Oklahoma University Sooners. Most recently coached TCU in Fort Worth and then was back at Oklahoma for a little bit. And now he's kind of enjoying some grandpa life with a couple of grandkids. But yeah, got through Plano West and then got to St. Mark's School of Texas under Hayward Lee, a fantastic coach, a football lacrosse guy. He was the first guy to really show me the value and the ability to cross over football and lacrosse and back again. And then after that, I moved back to Louisiana to help start the Lafayette Lions lacrosse program for that year of 2009. And then that following summer, I got my first head coaching opportunity over in Orlando, Florida, with University High School in East Orlando, right there next to UCF. Got to inherit a program there, had about 18 players. We grew that program to 35, 37 players inside of 3 years at a varsity and a JV. Took on first winning seasons of the program, had a 7-game winning streak, sent the first NCAA recruit to a Division II school out of that program, a couple of MCLA kids. I'm proud to say All along the way, I'm friends with still mentor a lot of my former players, but a lot of my kids at University High School. That's where the big core group of my alumni kids. I'm really tight with a lot of those guys, and it's great to see them become great young men, great fathers, great husbands, great businessmen, coaches in their own right. I got a couple of kids who coach and do some stuff that are giving back to the game. All along the while I was at University High School, I also jumped in and became a volunteer assistant with Rollins College at the Division II level.
Okay.
Down there in Winter Park, Florida.
Yeah.
I was teaching full time. I was coaching football. I was coaching lacrosse, but I was single, no wife, no kids. So I had all the time in the world. So I was teaching all day. I was coaching the high school team. And then at night I'd go coach Rollins because it was fortunate. Practices were from 7 to 9 or 8 to 10 at those times. So I was able to come on as a volunteer assistant under RJ Rossi. RJ played Division II and then ultimately Division I at Syracuse. Gave me a chance. He kind of put a call out for some guys that were looking to help grow the game. And I took the opportunity to really get going because at that point, that was when I kind of realized I wanted to be a college lacrosse coach and really dedicate my life to the sport and dedicate my life to the calling. And I was getting my master's degree from Ohio University in athletic administration along the way. Did all that until 2012. And then ultimately I did get married and have kids. So we ended up moving back to Louisiana because my wife's job paid more than coaching at the time. So we moved back here in the summer of 2012. And I got back on helping a little bit with the Lafayette Hurricanes or the Acadiana Hurricanes at that point because it changed. And then I got on as the associate head coach of LSU for the men's team. And then later on that year, the women's team had just gotten started. And because I was at Rollins and we shared an office with the men's and the women's coaches there, Coach Dennis Short took me under his wing a little bit, taught me about the women's game while I was in those offices, in those late night, film sessions, stuff like that. And the girls at LSU asked if I could help coach. And I still had time and a few young kids at that point, but I had the ability since I was already going to be on campus. And we started coaching, doing both, and did the men's and women's team at the same time. And then ultimately, I just took over the women's team because there was a lot of growth and positive opportunity there. Ultimately made it a winning season the first year, made the the TWIL, the Texas Women's Lacrosse League playoffs the next year. And then the third year, we won the conference. We won the whole thing. So we did some really cool growth through 2015. And then turned back around to help. My son at that time was about 7, 8 years old, started getting involved deeper with the Acadiana Hurricanes and really growing that program and helping him out through the youth level. And then I got the opportunity to reboot the Centenary program in Centenary College in Shreveport, Division III program, and got to spend a year and a half rebuilding that program. And ultimately, the dream opportunity came up. A coaching spot opened up at Virginia Military Institute, Division I NCAA VMI, and I got the opportunity to go and be the second assistant there and chase my dreams. So I was able to pull that up and go. And I learned so much in 4 months in that spring of 2019. It was so much under Coach John Bersner and my fellow coach there, Sean Doyle, who's now assistant coach at Division I Utah. Those guys taught me so much, and I learned quickly just how great the game could be played at that level, and I fell in absolute love with it. And then I realized, the harsh realities. NCAA lacrosse coaching is not Division I NCAA football coaching. You don't have $65 million buyout contracts in lacrosse and $9 million deals and $4 million for your assistants. So I kind of learned a business lesson there along the way, and realized I was going to be able to focus on my family life and my business life and still coach and give back. So ultimately, after that VMI year, came home, dedicated coaching to my son on the upper level to the youth and then to the high school. And have been doing that ever since 2019. We built the 2020 Hurricanes up into good numbers and good levels. We weathered the COVID storm and managed to maintain a 10U, a 12U, and a 14U program. In the last couple of years, we got up to the point where we had enough kids for 2 teams at 14U and 12U when we needed to, which was great for the growth here in South Louisiana. And now we've got the ability to start the Southside High program. Because of that growth, we've been able to do that, and the great support at Southside from my current principal, Allison Bloomer, my athletic director, Coach Dwayne Searle, who was actually my freshman high school football coach here in South Louisiana. So everybody always talks about how small town South Louisiana can be. That's how small town it can be 25 years later, and I'm still connected to that guy. And the current head football coach, Coach Jess Curtis, who's led the Southside team to a top 10 seed in the state championship playoffs, has been a supreme supporter of us playing lacrosse and using crossover players and teaching guys the game. So I know I went around the block across the street, but 21 years, it's a lot of coverage to go that way.
Yeah, I think the only question I have is probably what everybody listening has is there anything you haven't done in lacrosse?
Yeah, I haven't been a DOLO. I haven't been a director of lacrosse operations.
Okay.
But maybe one day, that'd be on the level. But as far as I know, I'm the only coach with NCAA Division 1, 2, 3, MCLA, and women's WCLA coaching experience. I don't know of anybody specific, definitely within state of Louisiana, but I don't know if anybody in the country has ever done all those levels. And then you add high school and youth onto it.
Yeah.
So I like to take that as the gumbo that it is. And I like to think that it's made me the coach I am now and the coach I will be for these kids going forward.
Well, I'll tell you, I think your career has been incredible. And again, it is a pleasure to do this with you. And everybody else doesn't know this, but you and I know this. Like, you and I have coached against each other. We've worked together in order to get teams to tournaments and things like that. And I will say that your boys, I've never played against your girls, of course, but I've played against your boys. Your boys are well coached. They have good sportsmanship. They play the game the way that you and I both think that it should be played. And I think we share a lot of the same things that probably a lot of the coaches out there share in terms of like sportsmanship and the history of the game and just, trying to keep it pure. So that is awesome.
I love that. Yeah, that's what it's all about. We need it to be that way in order to not only maintain the level of lacrosse we have now, but grow it. We need people to understand that this game is about honoring not just the game, but it's honoring your opponent. It's honoring your coaching staff. It's honoring your teammates. It's honoring the families you represent. It's honoring the school or the community-based program that you represent, the name across your chest. We need more of that. We need a lot of that in order to continue the game to grow. Because as you and I know, of course, this is the most beautiful game in the world. It is the granddaddy of them all. It's what gave us basketball. It's what gave us hockey. It's what gave us, obviously the lacrosse game we know today. And it truly is the cross trainer sport for most every team aspect and even some of the individual sports. And so many people need to find our game, and we need to keep it positive, and we need to keep it played the right way in order to do that.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I love the fact that you've been able to incorporate those players from other sports as well. That's something that I think a lot of, lacrosse coaches and lacrosse programs struggle with, especially now, because it's like we are constantly, our players and our parents specifically are constantly bombarded with like, oh, you got to play year-round soccer, you got to play year-round football, you got to play year-round baseball. And it's just like, there is study after study after study that shows that focusing on one sport at a young age is detrimental to your development. So
10,000% agree. So, if anybody's listening for the first time or has never, really considered lacrosse before, and this goes for all sports, if any coach prior to your junior year of high school is telling you need to focus on one sport, that coach does not have your best interest in mind. Now, is there the 1% of the 1% of the gold medal gymnasts or the gold medal pole vaulters who probably needs to, concentrate on an individual aspect? Absolutely. But for the 99.99% of the kids out there, you need to be well-rounded. You need to play 2-3 different sports a year. Get involved in 2 or 3 more additional activities. Throw tennis in there, throw golf, basketball, a little bit of street hockey, a little bit of fun lacrosse, a little bit of basketball, a little bit of baseball. Get it all in there, because the values and the skills and the just team play and the just mental fortitude that you gain all along the way serves you all the way up. Every year we look at those stats of the first 32 draft picks in the NFL or the first, however many draft picks in the major leagues. How many of those guys were multi-sport athletes? How few of them, focused on a single sport, and how many of them are starting to come out and say, yeah, I'm actually really good at football, but I was better at baseball, or I was better at basketball, or I was better at wrestling. A lot of those things contribute to the development and what you can become. And you really need to take, a high level look at what you're doing and be a part of as much as you can within reason. Obviously, there's a financial aspect and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about that in terms of how lacrosse is becoming a whole lot more accessible. But there are opportunities. You can go play unpadded lacrosse. You can play, street ball and stickball and speed lacrosse and all that kind of stuff. You can play in a rec basketball league. You don't have to play travel AAU. You don't have to play travel 7-on-7 flag football. You can find the opportunities that work for your family and your budget and your schedule. But the point of the matter is you just got to get out there and do it. And the last thing, and I would love to say to bring back, is we need to bring back the sandlot mentality, not just in our individual areas, but in the country. We need kids to go out to a field without the adult supervision and figure it out. We need the kids to get out there and play and take it upon themselves to learn flag football, baseball, rugby, stickball, lacrosse, whatever you want to call it, street hockey, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I can remember, and I know it's a different time, but I mean, in the 90s, roller hockey, ice hockey was huge because the Louisiana Ice Skaters were here at the Cajun Dome, and hockey became the big thing. And we would go to the abandoned tennis courts with the fences that were still up. We'd liberate the nets from the court, and then we'd play street hockey on the court, and we'd play and pad up and play with each other. And we'd find, big, great blacktop roads that, didn't have as much traffic and play the Wayne's World, car, game on. And we'd play hockey and figured it out. But none of us went on to play, ECHL, NHL hockey. But, the game and the aspect and the fun that I learned from that made me a better lacrosse player, made me a better baseball player, football player. So stuff like that really needs to make a comeback. And we really need to encourage our kids to be kids and enjoy that aspect of life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just getting away from the formality of it, sometimes you're going to learn so many more lessons. I know USA Lacrosse published an article a while back about lacrosse players in Harlem. They don't have grass. They don't have this big, huge field. They have blacktop, and they play wall.
Absolutely.
And they are really, really good because they have to learn to play the game a different way. And they just go out there. It's very basic, very rudimentary, and very pure, because it's just like, we're taking the ball and the stick and we're just going out and doing it. Whatever situation presents, that's what we're going to get. And,
to expound on the purity factor, shout out to Team Uganda and everything that's going on in the World Lacrosse Games. I show those videos, I show those pics to my kids and on my social media all the time. Don't tell me you got nowhere to play, because these kids in Uganda are playing barefoot on dirt patches with hand-me-down sticks and donated sticks and fantastic stuff. And their smiles are as big as you can get, and they're good. I had the pleasure of going to the World Games in 2023 in San Diego. I got to watch them play, got to watch a lot of international teams play. People are figuring it out. And, the one roadblock that I hear the most of is, oh, I don't have somewhere to play, or I don't have somebody to play with, or I don't have. You absolutely do, buddy. You do. Go out. You just got to take the time to go get it, because if those kids can figure it out in Uganda, they can figure it out here in the States and anywhere in the city. So, and it's pure and it's beautiful, and I can't wait to see it. And shout out to everybody that's working on the world side of the games, growing the games in sport in areas like Mexico, the Virgin Isles, Jamaica lacrosse, right? Korea's program, Japan, China, freaking Ukraine. I mean, there's teams popping up all over the place. And, there's guys like us who are out there really doing everything they can, pounding the pavement to make it happen. And I'd really like to give those guys a shout out.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how much it's grown. I think, coaches like you are a big part of that. I have latched myself on to people who are smarter than me, which allows me to learn a lot from people, again, people like you, people like the other coaches I've worked with. But that's something that we don't really think about, because often we're just stuck in our own world and we don't realize like how lucky we are to have the things that we have. So I appreciate you sharing with that. I want to take a step back for 2 seconds and just let's do a couple of rapid fires because I want the people really to get
Sure.
to know you. They know your whole history, they know your lacrosse history, your sports history, but I want to get to know Coach Casey as a person, and this is going to be for me and for your players and for anybody listening. All right. So the first one is, what book or podcast are you? What book are you reading, or what podcast are you listening to right now? What's your favorite?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just finished for the third time the Jack Sandler book, Live in His Glow, written by his dad. I like to read that every so often since I've met them. The Jack Sandler Foundation. Shout out to Mac and the entire Sandler family. They're doing the good work of getting kids scholarships to go to recruiting events and things like that. But I like to read that book as a dad. I'm raising my son, Colin, raising my two daughters, and that book reminds me to take the step back and realize and look for the dimes in life. And if you've read that book, you'll understand the dimes call out. I'm actually starting a new book this weekend. I've been really excited waiting on this one.
There we go.
You could take away the LSU Texas version because definitely horns down, but go Tigers. But Matthew McConaughey, I've always loved his approach to life. I've always loved his way of putting things, and I'm really looking forward to checking this book out starting this weekend. But Green Lights is definitely, it's been on the menu for a minute. Yeah. As I said, we've been busy the last 18 months getting Southside started and doing a lot of other things with Louisiana Elite and those guys up in Centenary. But I'm really looking forward to getting started on that one. As far as podcasts, I do listen every now and again just to random episodes, but I'm a sports radio guy. I listen to 1310 The Ticket out of Dallas, Texas. I'm originally from Dallas, and my dad introduced me to The Ticket, and I listen to the Sports Day app. It's basically the live stream of their show all day long. The Ticket's been on the air 25 years, morning, midday, afternoon shows. That's my audio listening pretty much 95% of the time.
I love it. Well, it keeps you abreast of any current events, so I guess that's going to be good.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's Cowboys, it's Mavs, it's Rangers, it's Stars. It's SEC, so it's everything I listen to, so it's perfect.
Awesome. What about, you got a favorite player? You got a favorite team? Who do you love?
Favorite lacrosse teams are always the teams of the guys that either I coached or I knew or I've coached with that are playing. I'm cheating on this one. I had two favorite players my whole last couple of years, the last 20 years. Casey Powell, far and above. Yep. I met Casey along the way in my coaching career, and he helped me out with some things, learning some things and making lacrosse connections. And I'm proud and happy to say he's become a good friend, a good dude, been able to watch his daughter come up in the women's game. Shout out to Bella over at ECU Women's Lacrosse. And then my other favorite player is the captain, Brett Manny, just retired from the NLL and some of the field stuff. Now he's become a dad, got wonderful kids, beautiful wife, big leader of the NXT lacrosse program out of Philly. Huge box proponent, of course, box lacrosse being another angle that we go with. All along the recruiting trails, when I was going through those D2, D3, D1 lives, Brett always looked out for me, put me under his wing, and made sure I was where I needed to be and connected with the guys. So being those two guys would definitely be my favorite players, and those are my favorite teams. I loved the Panther City lacrosse program. I'm sad to see it go. I know financials are what they are, but outside of that, Duke lacrosse with Coach John Danowski, very happy and proud and humbled to say he's a mentor of mine. He always makes time to see me, talk to me, spend time with me. Last year, I went out to North Carolina for work, and I just, on a lark, emailed him and texted him. He's like, yeah, come on by. I'll be in the offices, whatever. And, that's amazing. We ended up spending what I thought was going to be 30 minutes. We spent 2.5 hours together just talking everything. And he genuinely cares about what we're doing. I got to meet him back in 2010, 2011 at a U.S. lacrosse convention event in Florida. And we started talking, had an adult beverage, and ended up forging a friendship. And so pretty much Duke lacrosse for college is definitely my team. And then ultimately, wherever Colin ends up going, playing college lacrosse, that'll be my next favorite team.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me ask, you brought up Duke lacrosse and John Danowski. I got to ask a question, and I know I didn't prep you for this one, so I apologize, but I heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, but maybe you can shed some light on it. So they put on like a coaching clinic, and they do a lot of basically like not really a showcase day, but prospect days and things like that for their players. And one of the things, like, he'll get up there, John Janowski will get up there, and he will teach coaches like opposing coaches, he'll teach his own offense, he'll teach his defense, and he has no problem sharing that. One, because he loves the game,
None.
but two, he'll tell you, someone asked him once, I don't know if this is true, so it could be complete rumor, but why are you sharing your strategy, your offense with us? And he's just like, we've already mastered it. Like you can try this and you can do it and you can get good at it, but I'm teaching it because we've mastered it. Like you're never going to be as good as us. And so I don't know what you think about that, but would that be characteristic?
I love it. He's been one of the early proponents of YouTube Live and Twitter Live and stuff like that. And they would live stream those coaching clinics.
Yeah.
He opened the doors to lacrosse, to Duke lacrosse when he came down from Hofstra and really embraced the Carolina lacrosse community. Number one, people don't realize this. With Duke and North Carolina, UNC, those are two really big lacrosse D1 historical blue blood programs. But up to that point, high school lacrosse in North Carolina wasn't that big. And he saw that right away. And he, has the approach of a lot of guys that you want to recruit and bring in local talent, build the local base. And that was their approach. And they opened the doors and said, come on in, high school coaches. They were very adamant, like, hey, schedule your practice till 5:30 and then come to Durham for 7 for a clinic. And it's free. And we'll have Coke and cookies and we'll go over this and we'll live stream it. And, I don't think it's him that coined the phrase, but one of the things that I like to tell my kids is you got to practice until you can't get it wrong. And then you got to keep practicing it. Mm-hmm. That's Duke lacrosse. That's John Danowski in a nutshell. You nailed it. They mastered it. They know what they're going to do. The game of lacrosse, there's only so many X's and O's you can put down on paper. Right. That's what I love about the game. It's almost like chess. There's a finite number of things you can do, but you got to be really good at them. Mm-hmm. And those guys at Duke, they play and they practice and they rep at a level that 99% of us dream about, right? You go to a Duke practice, the ball doesn't hit the carpet. And if it does, everybody's like, ooh, we shouldn't do that again. Let's not do that. Yeah. So it's amazing. So his approach is it's not about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And I love that approach because that should be done in a lot of aspects.
Yeah. That is such a good insight, and I'm so glad that you had that experience and you're able to share it with us.
Yeah, that's one of the things we tell our players all the time. And I was in Florida.
Getting the fundamentals right.
Yeah, and I was in Florida. I was in Dallas. I was in South Louisiana watching these videos. It was intended for the North Carolina guys, but Coach Danowski had the wherewithal to go, man, make it public, make it live, get it out there. Mm-hmm. So guys like me and guys that are in this hopeful dream of being a coach can learn from it. And that's exactly what we need. That's like this podcast, right? Sharing the info, getting the info out there. Mm-hmm. People need access to it. And the more access, the better. It's just great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, exactly right. All right. So let's take, so everything we've talked about, everything has led you here as a coach, everything, all your history, family, everything has led you here. You're at Southside High School now. What's the plan? What's the game plan for you?
Yeah, the plan is building the foundation. We started with about 55 interested players, boys, girls,
That's
statisticians,
awesome.
Managers. Yeah, it was a great first push. But then you go through the hurdles of, there's the financial aspect of it. We gotta fundraise, we gotta pay team dues, we gotta get the pads, we gotta get the goals, the uniforms, all that stuff. So I've been doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff the last 6 months or so. We're deep into fall ball. We just finished week 4 of fall ball with pads on. Before that, we had captain's practices for 4 weeks. And then before that, in July, we had 4 weeks of summer stick work and workouts. So we're about 12 weeks into the program, with a couple of weeks off for starting school and stuff like that. We've got fall ball ending on December 14th we're hosting some games at Southside as a great showcase to the Youngsville community to show what a lot of lacrosse looks like. A lot of schools from the area, from the LHSLL, the Gulf South Lacrosse League are coming in. A couple of youth teams are going to sign up and play because we're very blessed at Southside. We have multiple fields, multiple grass fields, and our brand new turf and stadium is being finished here in the coming months. So we've got the ability to host upwards of 4 and 5 games at any given time on campus at Southside. So geographically, we're very fortunate with our location. LSU's the boot. So you got New Orleans down here, you got Shreveport here, you got Baton Rouge and Lafayette in the middle. So we're able to get everybody to come that needs to cut time and budget for them, not having to go overnight trips. So we're going to host a lot of games. We're going to showcase a lot of action. I'm working behind the scenes with the local Native American tribes, the Chitimacha, the Kushada, and some other tribes. They obviously have had a long history of stickball and Tole, which is a big version of the Choctaw tribe. Just recently made inroads for some contacts for that. We're going to invite them to come and do some exhibitions at Southside, and ultimately, hopefully, we're going to have them come and do a blessing of our brand new field and stadium to really make that connection known and make that connection solidified between the Native American life and the current version of lacrosse. But we're gonna hit the ground running. February 1st, the LHSLL season starts off. Actually, January 31st, but February 1st will be our first game. We're gonna host the season kickoff. We're calling it the LHSLL Spring Fling.
Nice.
Spring Sling. We're gonna sling it, and we're gonna host everybody for their first 1 or 2 LHSLL games. Cool. And then as of right now, we've got 16 to 18 games on the schedule through the end of through the first week of April and then into the playoffs. So we're going to get after it. We've been very fortunate. We've had some great kids going out and some great parents going out to get sponsors. These guys from First City Lacrosse, they sponsored our jerseys. I don't know if you've heard of those guys, but they've sponsored our jerseys. So we were able to get a full set of practice jerseys. We were able to get a donation of helmets from the local private school here, St. Thomas More. They had some STX rivals. They were able to donate. They no longer use. 21 helmets were donated. 20 of them were good to be recertified and used. So that saved us a boatload of money, to not have to buy helmets. But we also got in with Lacrosse Monkey. Shout out to Jamie Kilpatrick with Lacrosse Monkey. He's my great rep with them. And also shout out to Maverick Lacrosse for this. For the last few years, John, they started the Maverick and the STX youth starter set. It was an affordable set of equipment. And I've been pushing for that for years. We need that on a grand scale across the youth. And I've been saying we need it for high school. Well, Maverick went ahead and did it for the high school sizes, small, medium, and large, no XLs and no doubles, but small, medium, and large. It's a great first step. And you got great bundles for gloves, shoulder pads, and arm pads. You can get those 3 for, I believe it's $234 in the bundle. And then you can do those 3 plus the helmet for another 100 on top of that. And you can do those 3 plus a stick. And it's like $415 total. So $415 to get into the high school game for a high school bundle is probably the best thing short of piecemealing it. Yeah, short of piecemealing everything from sideline swap. That's the best thing I've come across. And we were able to purchase 18 sets of equipment to get started. And then we got a few more to purchase. Some of our kids have bought their own. So we're down to about 26, 27 players from that initial 55. And again, we've got the girls playing with us. They're co-eding it. One of our girls is a short stick D-mid, also a goalie. I've got one girl who plays hockey, who plays ice hockey here for the Drillers program, but also wanted to be a midi. And she's lightning as far as girls go and understanding where to get in sneaky spots. I've got another short stick D-mid. And we've got some action, at a little bit of goalie and things like that to fill them in and help them find a role. But we're rocking and rolling, man. We're gonna get after it, and we're gonna see what we gel and turn into here this first year.
That's awesome, man. This has been really good. I'm excited to see where you take this, and this is just. I mean, I think there are hundreds of coaches out there and hundreds of players who are either starting a program or are in a new program or have been in a situation just like you where you have to sort of build. And there's so many resources out there available, and you've highlighted a ton of them. The name of the game is providing support. With that being said, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do it? What's the best way to find you?
Easiest way is social media. Search Coach Casey Mcdonald, CASEY, McDonald like the restaurant. Find me, find Southside Lacrosse, DM us, and you can always email me, coachcaseymcdonald@gmail.com. We're going to be having, obviously, the Southside program's got their social media. The Lafayette Lacrosse League has been our recruiting arm and lacrosse introduction in the Lafayette area with myself and a couple of coaches. We're going to branch off and start a Youngsville Lacrosse League so we can do it just for my feeder middle schools.
There you go.
and the local charter school. We're going to include those guys as well. That's going to be a non-contact, sticks only, sixes style of lacrosse. And it's going to be low cost, low entry, sticks only. We got sticks the kids can borrow thanks to some previous years of running it. But like you talked about, there's avenues to get the game into kids' hands. And you just have to find the people who are dedicated enough to do it and really just come up with a plan. Being organized is the absolute best part of it. You got to be organized. You got to have a schedule. You got to have a plan of people, and you got to get out there and make the connections. And I'm happy to help anybody that wants to reach out, social media, email, get to me through you, whatever it's got to be. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to share best practices. I'm happy to share things that didn't work for us, but might work for you. I talk to guys. I'm in PLL chat group. I'm in, shout out to my guys in the group, but there's guys in Arizona, Wichita, Colorado, Alabama, Louisiana with me, Texas, that have all kinds of roadblocks. And realistically, the biggest thing is don't think you're the only guy going through or girl. Don't think you're the only guy or girl coach, male or female, booster member, board member going through those issues. There are this lacrosse community is tight, and all you got to do is find your people and ask for help, and you'll get it. USA Lacrosse has their avenues. They're not exactly the easiest, but they're out there and they're available. Plenty of people have public info posted, like we talked about Danowski and other things. There's references out there, man. So don't ever feel like it's you against the world. It's just you against that situation for the time being. But get connected to a John, a Coach Casey, guys out there in the world who can help you and let it happen. Be as organic and pure as possible. And the good things are going to come. The ball don't lie. You do things the right way, the game's going to reward you.
There you have it, straight from the mouth of the expert. So, guys, listen, the support is out there. Coach Casey is all about support. I know that from personal experience. And if you know me from personal experience, I am all about supporting you as well. We just want to see the game grow. We want to see it grow the right way. So if you're in the Louisiana, Texas, or anywhere in the Gulf Coast, look up Coach Casey, look me up. If we can't help you, I bet we know somebody who can.
100%.
And we will make it happen for you, because lacrosse is a great game. It's a family. It's a community. Like you said, it's like nothing else you've ever experienced. And I am so happy. I found it later in life, but I'm so happy to have found it. Casey, I am grateful for your friendship, my man. I am so thankful that you decided to spend some time with me today and with all of our future guests here. So last parting shot, we already know how to get in touch with you. What's the one thing, if you were a player today, or if you went back in time, what is the one thing you would tell yourself, or one thing you would tell your players?
You are never going to regret practicing. Go out there, spend an extra 10, 15 minutes on the wall, go shoot hoops, go run routes, go work on, your footwork, go work on your hand-eye coordination. You're never going to regret it. I played multiple sports all through high school. Looking back, it was some of the best times of my life. The camaraderie, the friendships, the lifelong friendships are there. You are never going to regret putting in an extra 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Go out there, figure it out, figure out something to do, and get better at it. And I would also employ, don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong.
I love it. I'm going to put that on the back of this T-shirt here.
I love it. I love it, man. That's one of our mantras. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to see you guys play. I'm excited. Make sure that we get that schedule out there. We'll post all the links in our social media once we have it. And
absolutely. Everybody's welcome to our games.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, we're going to incorporate the high school band. We're incorporating the band. We're incorporating the cheerleaders, the dance team to perform at our games. We're going to have a rowdy student section. We're working on naming the stadium. We're pretty much we think we're going to call it the Reef. And the student section, the student section is going to be pretty crazy. The splash zone is what the kids are already calling it. And, we're going to make it fun for people. So come on out, come check our games. When we post them online, definitely watch us. We're definitely here to be entertainment and be a part of the lacrosse community.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for being here, guys. You know how to find us, First City Lacrosse. We will be looking for you next time. Casey, I will see you on the field, brother.
Fear the fin, John. Fear the fin.
See you, man.
Bye.
If you like what you hear, drop us a like and follow wherever you downloaded this podcast from, and on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at First City Labs. Check back every week for more content. Thank you for being a part of the First City Lacrosse podcast.